Hello and welcome to the Music Shack podcast. This is episode number 59. This week you're joined by myself, Bruce.
Ron.
And Ed.
All right. Let's jump right on in.
Yep.
Where are we starting? Because
You want to start with some bad news, or want to just
we can
cover that later?
We can we do it now to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
All right. Unfortunately, a few days ago, I can't remember exactly what day it was. We lost young Dolphin. He was gunned down outside of a cookie shop of all places in Memphis. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it's like sometimes like you don't know about what they do for a community until after somebody passes.
Mm-hmm.
And with Dolphin, I had no clue how big of a figure he was for like Memphis and what he did for that community until after he passed. I heard these people talking about all the different donations he made and different things that he did for people. And I go, damn. Like here I am just thinking he's a rapper from Memphis. I didn't know he was like an actual community figure. So that's a big loss for hip hop, and probably an even bigger loss for Memphis.
Yeah.
So
Very, very unfortunate.
yeah. So
Yeah, I heard someone mention it the other day when I was playing online. Someone had open mic on and they mentioned it, and I was like, okay. I didn't know really what they were talking about, but yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. He was outside of a local bakery.
Yeah, of all places you're gonna do it, and you really shouldn't do it at all. But like of all
Nah.
places that it could have happened.
Well, I mean, like, I look at X. X got gunned down, I think, outside of a motorcycle dealership in Florida. Like, it's like depressing. Like, how many rappers get gunned down? Like, and it seems to be like only rap. You don't hear about artists in other genres having to deal with the style of violence that rappers seem to deal with.
Yeah, it's there's. Oh, I want to say I wonder where it started, but it's one of those things that kind of just developed as the genre developed, and for some reason we have not been able to move past it. Because now it's like being a gangster and talking all this shit and having a reputation is part of the game when we have these types of things happening, and it's happened enough times to where people should have realized like, hey, this is not okay,
Yeah.
but it's still there.
Well, I mean, a lot of the times, like Ice-T when he started rapping, and Ice Cube when he started rapping, while they're rapping about being gangsters, they were rapping about shit that they actually seen growing up.
Right.
It wasn't like they were trying to glorify it. It was just some shit that they seen, you know? And unfortunately now people are glorifying that lifestyle, and I think that's what's leading to, you know, the type of violence we're seeing involving hip hop artists. You know, last year we lost Pop Smoke because somebody fucking killed him at a party he was throwing in the hills.
Right.
Like, so, yeah. It's just,
I will not understand why it's an integral part of the game. It seems. It just,
I mean,
to me, it's not right.
the way I always seen rappers going on about selling drugs and gang violence is the same way I only seen country singers singing about alcohol and driving old trucks. It's part of their lifestyle. It's what they grew up around. So,
But again, it's one of those things where it's rooted.
yeah.
But how many is it gonna take before something changes in the thought process?
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
it's ridiculous at this point that we still have this issue. I don't think I personally don't see why it hasn't. Obviously, it's not gonna change isn't gonna happen right away.
Yeah.
But it's happened enough times where someone should have been like, "Hey, how do we fix this?"
But we live in a very like volatile state in America. I don't want to get into politics, but I mean, there's people being gunned down every day, and the reasonings seem to be less and less sensible.
True.
I mean, there's no real sensible reason to gun somebody down in the first place.
No, but the reasons are getting outlandish more so than they already are.
Yeah, they're getting even more irrational. Yeah. So
Right.
I wish the best for Dolphin's friends and family
Yeah.
with the grieving process and everything. But yeah. All right, moving on to some lighter stuff.
Let's start with Ed since we're already in that realm.
Yeah, I brought you guys Money Man's Blockchain. Just solid hip hop album. I felt that the production and the beats outshined the artist, although he had a good flow.
Yeah, I did like his flow.
And I liked his voice, but he didn't have any like real standout lyrics. But
yeah, it's just one of those cases where it's like, yeah, you have good beats, good production, you have good flow, you have a good voice, and it's just like your actual lyrics are kind of like in the background and not even a backbone, almost.
yeah,
It's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, everything else is pretty good, but you got to work on actual material,
lyrics, yeah,
actual like lyrical material, and that could just be how he does it,
yeah.
which is totally fine because there are people that will enjoy it,
Oh, there's people
But-
who've made a living off of not having lyrics.
right?
So
Or having mediocre lyrics at best,
yeah.
and that's just subjective to the person.
Yeah, there's a
But-
rapper one of the rappers I used to make fun of because of the lyrics actually figured out how to rap after he got rich, which blew my mind. Because normally a rapper who can't rap when they're underground, when they get money, they just continue not being able to rap. 21 Savage.
Oh yeah,
When he first started rapping, I was like, yeah, this guy's a clown. This guy's a joke.
well he's a trap artist at first.
And now I hear him on a track and I'm like, all right, 21's coming in. Something good's about to happen. Like before I was like, here's 21. Now I'm like, 21's on this track. Here we go. I don't know what happened, but the man became a better rapper after he got money. It's amazing to me. Because I've heard so many other rappers be a rude interruption by the system.
You were talking about underground rappers.
Oh yeah, most of them are like, like if you hear like a mediocre underground rapper and then they get money, they tend to either stay mediocre or get worse.
Or they'll realize like, hey, I don't have the ability to do this very well. We'll just have someone do it.
What I thought was very intriguing was 50 Cent made his money in rap. Knew he couldn't come up with enough material to maintain his rap career, so he invested the money. And now he's making more money than he probably would have made off of rap. Off of TV shows and movie deals and different investments he made. Like, I think if anyone's like trying to figure out how to manage their own money, they should definitely take a good look at what 50 Cent did, especially if you like come into a large sum of money.
Right.
Because the man made all the right investments, made all the right moves. Like, but and he had good music when he was making music. So
Right. It's probably also one of those things where it's like, well, I'm reaching the end of my capacity and what I can write.
yeah,
Instead of hiring somebody to write for me, which takes all the fun out of it, in some cases, I feel.
it takes the creativity out of it.
Right. Which is usually the fun of it.
Yeah, and you got people like me who are somewhat a purist, and I look at a rapper differently when I find out they have ghostwriters. So, even though most rappers have ghostwriters.
Yeah. So do most pop singers, too.
Well, I mean, it's pop, though. It's kind of I mean, there's a whole genre called singer-songwriter,
Yeah.
and then there's pop. With pop, you assume it was written by somebody else, unless, you know, they actually have credits on it. If it says singer-songwriter, whether it's pop or not, you know that they wrote the song that they're singing.
Yeah.
So
It's like a lot of. I think it's Taylor Swift, if I remember correctly. She had a lot at one point. Like there was a CD where there was like 7 different ghostwriters on the back of it.
yeah, but I mean, they never. It's funny how like with rappers, everybody expects them to write their own shit, and with like other forms of music, you're just like, someone else writes it, somebody else writes it. It's weird. I don't know what it is. Like, I'll admit that it's weird, even though I'm one of those people. Like, I'm one of those people who say, no, you can't have a ghostwriter. And then I'm like, if Taylor Swift has a ghostwriter, she has a ghostwriter.
Yeah, I remember when I found out that we were going on a tangent, but that's okay. It's good. This will work because there's not a lot we have this week. But I remember when Crown the Empire came out with I think it's Reflections is the album. Let me pull it up. No, Retro something. It might be Retrospective. I'm just gonna pull it up because I can't remember off the top of my head. But they had an album come out, and I noticed the vocals were different. And I couldn't place why. So I did research, and I found that the guy that did all the screaming left, and he left because Retrograde 2016. He left because when they were writing stuff for Retrograde, they had people write the lyrics for them. So he actually left the group because he didn't want to be any part of that. So now I believe it's one of their guitarists or their bassist that does the screaming now. And it still sounds good, and it still sounds like them for what they put out. But now I question him, like, which of this did you actually write? How much of this did you actually write lyrics for yourself or write the music for yourself? Because they've had an album since then. They've had Sudden Sky, in 2019, which is it's okay. But it's one of those things where it's like, which part of this did you actually put effort into, and which part of it did you have someone else do for you? Same thing with the singles that they've come out with recently. Like I don't know. It just makes me wonder.
Gotcha.
The thing is, for me, is I've never had a problem with ghostwriting because I mean sometimes, like with 50 Cent, sometimes you just run out of ideas. And sometimes people just want to be a performer, but they don't have any more ideas of what more they can do. Which just makes sense, just to have someone else write for you, and then you can continue to perform like you might love to do, but the writing aspect, would you just have nothing.
I think for me, like the only reason why I kind of sit there and hold rappers to a different standard than I do other people is I don't see rap, now this is going to sound like shit, as you know, as long as you have a good flow and a good way of saying your lyrics, it's good. That's why I expect, you know, them to be writing their own shit. With singers, I don't really expect them to write their own shit because I just want to hear them belt out lyrics with insane highs and lows and, you know, actual vocal work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's because I expect more out of the vocals of other forms of music that I don't hold anything against other forms of music for having writers. But
I think I'm in the same situation, just flipped, because like growing up, I listened to a lot of 70s and 80s rock and like hair metal stuff, and then I started getting into early 2000s alternative and punk and new metal, and everything was just very, you know, from the heart, and it was relatable in some cases to certain people. And it's like, to me, every time I hear about these groups doing these projects, like making these albums and these songs, and they get asked why, you know, like, where does the inspiration come from? And it's like a lot of times they're pulling from their own perspectives, and they come up with these lyrics themselves and put all the time and effort into it to make it, you know, a masterpiece.
yeah, I mean,
and to me, that's there's more to it when you do it that way. I feel
Yeah.
it's not just another piece of music. I
Yeah,
think that's my issue with
I,
ghostwriting.
I will say, like, definitely, the amount of feeling you get while listening to Linkin Park is probably because they wrote their own shit,
Right.
and like they actually felt the pain that they're singing about firsthand. So
Or in the case of the Ghost Inside, when they came back with their 2020 record, which is a self-titled, because they went on they had to go on a hiatus for 4 years because they got into a bus accident. So it's like they come back stronger than ever and have all this emotion and energy about things that they dealt with over time, whether it was prior to that or afterward. So it, like, to me, like I said, it's just there's more to it when you put your own effort into something, I feel. But and I always mention Drake and joke about it. Like, he has his own
well, Drake is known for using ghostwriters,
right, but he has his own material, but his own material isn't that great. But it definitely, I feel like it would hit different, even though it's not as good as some of the other stuff
It definitely would, because you know it's coming
from him.
from him, and you know that it's his emotion and his feelings that are being expressed, versus when you're using a ghostwriter, you're expressing someone else's opinions, someone else's views, and it does take away from the feeling of music for sure.
Right, and I'm all for having like a draft written out for a song, and then having other people come over it and be like, "Hey, I think you change this here, or change this here, or flip these two around."
I mean,
I feel that's different, almost.
a lot of people don't know that All Along the Watchtower was a cover by Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
That was originally done by Bob Dylan,
Right.
but Hendrix made it feel like his.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have some artists out there who can make things feel
Like they wrote it.
like they wrote it, and Hendrix made All Along the Watchtower feel like he wrote it, even though it was originally done by Bob Dylan.
Or Disturbed with Land of Confusion.
That I didn't get that same feel from them, to be honest with you.
That's fair. To me, at first I didn't know that was a cover to begin with.
Okay.
But when I then learned that it was a cover, and I went back and listened to both, and I'm like, they make it sound like it could be something they wrote initially,
Well,
especially for that album, because that record has a certain tone to it that song fits into with the way they did it.
well, I'll tell you this: if it wasn't for Disturbed, I would have never listened to Judas Priest because of their cover of "Living After Midnight."
Yeah.
It made me actually sit there and go, "Hey, what does Judas Priest? What was the original to this?" And I heard the original, and I said, "Oh, this is pretty good. What else do they have?" And yeah, I would have never listened to Judas Priest if it wasn't for Disturbed covering "Living After Midnight" on their B-side album.
Mm-hmm. The Lost Children,
Yes.
2011. That was before Asylum.
So yeah, Asylum was good too. They put out a lot of good music, that band.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, I think the whole big takeaway is that, like, there is a place and time for ghostwriting at in certain cases, like 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Because if he decided to, he could have.
Yeah.
But it
For
hits
sure.
different when like if you hear something, thought it was good, and then hear it's a ghostwritten piece of music, it's like it subtracts a little bit, I feel.
It does, but if somebody can make you feel something off of a record, whether it's ghostwritten or not, I don't see an issue. But if you can't feel anything from it, any form of like emotion or anything from something that's ghostwritten,
Right.
it just feels effortless at that point.
Right, and I think that's my whole issue with it,
Yeah.
mainly.
All right.
Tangent over.
Tangent over. I did give you guys a single from my favorite album this week, which was An Evening with Silk Sonic by Silk Sonic. I gave you guys the single 777.
That was good.
Oh yeah,
It was fun.
very fun.
very bouncy. It's very lively,
Yeah.
and I like the transitions.
Yes. What is it? The single they released off the album. Well, they actually released the single off this album, I think last year, called "Leave the Door Open." And then you didn't hear anything about it, and then they released another single off the album. I think it was last week. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's an amazing song. "Smoking Out the Window,"
Mm-hmm.
which. But yeah, it's a phenomenal 9-song album. Worth listening to start to finish. No skippables. Just fantastic music. So when I first heard that Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak were doing a project together, I said, oh, that should be an interesting feature. I was expecting it to be a single song. I wasn't expecting them to come out with a group called Silk Sonic. And when I found out they're doing a group, I was like, oh, I'm interested to hear this album.
Right.
And because I'm a fan of Anderson .Paak's. Not too big on Bruno Mars, but the way they work together is fantastic. So it was a good listen.
All right. Moving on, we can go over to Bruce.
All right.
Dial it up a little bit.
I brought along Rock Out by Wolfmother.
Yes.
They're an Australian hard rock band.
I didn't know they're from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Eh,
Okay.
I've seen them live. Was not impressed.
Okay.
I also was not impressed by this. It just feels so dated to me, and you can definitely tell.
I mean, it kind of makes sense when you look at the album art, because
Right.
the album art looks
Oh, it's
like
fresh
it.
out the 80s.
Yeah.
The album art's fresh out the 80s.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like
Um,
with the vinyl pressed right into the cover as well.
But where Ron's saying it feels dated, probably like 2015, around there.
Kind of when it started coming back, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it, and just they made it sound like it was straight out of the 80s. Like even the way it's mixed and everything,
Yeah.
the way it's mastered is just it's such a niche thing anymore. And for me, it just doesn't work.
I enjoyed it. I didn't really have any standouts.
Considering half of them are like, if not all of them are like 2 minutes or less.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the album. But
Yeah, I just was not. Didn't hit me the right way.
gotcha.
Neither did their live performance, because every time he sang, he peaked the microphone.
Whew.
Do not touch that knob.
Oh, that would have been terrible.
But yeah, that just for me, it just didn't hit the right buttons for me. So
In case anyone was wondering, Ron was giving me a quick lesson on Engineering 101. Do not turn the gain all the way up in the middle of the podcast.
Would
Try-
not be good.
yeah,
I know better not to do, but for anyone listening, that's something not to do. Anyway,
you didn't have a single yet, Bruce. Did you?
I played PvP by Amaranth for you guys earlier.
Right.
yes, I have to check out more of their stuff.
Yeah, I think we covered up an album of theirs last year, I think. Manifest.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, but they got good stuff.
Yeah,
You might remember their one song, "The Breakdown Goes Boom."
oh yeah,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah,
all right.
it
I did enjoy that album.
Ed's gonna find or go through their discography and find a new group to follow.
Yeah, I might.
Amaranth is good.
Mhm.
I might wind up calling myself a fan of another band.
I mean, hell, I love their stuff. One of my favorites by them is Amaranthine. It's one of their lighter songs, actually.
Yeah, I think think we'll be playing Halo tonight, and Ron's gonna hear Amaranth in the background.
Probably.
What is going on? Amaranth. I'm
Ed,
checking
you're
him
hitting
out.
every shot. What's going on? He doesn't miss.
I bought myself a shit bucket. I quit my job, and I already don't have a girlfriend, so there we go.
You're halfway there.
Halfway there.
But
Battlefield buddies.
that's,
Colonel 100.
yep.
Oh, shit.
Anyway, I gave you guys "No Sign of Life" by Unleashed.
Yes.
Instrumentally, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
Vocally, I'm okay with it.
Certain songs, it worked. Other songs, the vocals, it wasn't.
Wasn't there?
Yeah. I still want to know what a Midgard warrior is. I need to look that up. Because they referenced it like 3 or 4 times throughout this album. And they
I think
even have a
it's-
song called Midgard
I
Warriors.
think it's a mythology thing
Alright.
because their album art has swords and battle axes on them.
Is it like Scandinavian?
I don't know.
Or like. Alright, let me.
But
I think it
Yeah, it-
might be.
yeah, it's like I get what they were going for with it,
Apparently it's a serpent.
and the tonality of his vocals. I get what they're doing, and it's probably just how he sings and screams and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. It's good, and I don't mind it, but I have to be in the right mood for that. Otherwise, instrumentally, I think it's phenomenal.
So,
Oh, it's just Earth.
it's a part of Norse mythology. I'm not going to try to pronounce the other name for this, but it's also known as Midgard or World. It's a form of serpent.
Gotcha.
It's supposed to be like a giant serpent. Apparently, it was featured in God of War.
Why am I not surprised? So yeah.
In Norse mythology, it's the middle space or region between heaven and hell.
Oh. Okay.
Getting a religion lesson here apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a serpent too. I just typed in Midgard and seed serpent. Said, oh. Gotcha. So
Yeah, overall, I mean the album's solid. Instrumentally, it's
Yeah.
got the energy. It's got I like the tuning, I like the rhythms, I like everything about the instrumentals. I think the biggest issue we all have, and that most people are probably gonna have with this, is the vocals, just because
Yeah.
the way it's styled. But overall, it's a good start to finish. I don't feel like there's a skippable on it. So yeah, I don't have a standout either. It's just like it's solid metal. And then I also gave Ed initially 2 singles from the Amity Affliction,
Oh.
which we played right before.
I liked them.
Yeah, Give Up the Ghost and Like Love.
yes.
They're combining that sound they had on the previous record with the heavy stuff that they did before.
Heavy heavies?
Yeah,
Heavy heavies.
the heavies mixed with Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them, like that sound mixed with the heavy aspect, I think works really well. So if that's kind of what they're going for with maybe the possible upcoming record that these are going to feature on, I'm okay with that. Because that's pretty much what these were.
I like when Amity Affliction does the heavy heavies. I mean, my favorite song by them is Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And like I can't call myself a fan of them because the only song I like by them is Pittsburgh. That's not it's not something I'm saying negative about the band. Because, sure they make other good shit, but The only thing that took my liking was that. And I'm one human being. My opinion does not speak for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
A shitty human being at that. But not the shittiest.
Once Human also dropped another single from their upcoming record. They dropped Cold Arrival. It's death metal, but with a female vocalist. That's
Ooh.
That's what they are, and this is good. I'm actually looking forward to this record. I feel like the singles they've released so far are kind of mid, in my opinion. They're good, but they're not like outstanding. So I'm curious what they're holding back and what they haven't put out yet. So I'm curious just what the rest of this is gonna sound like. And their vocalist changed tone. Very like, she 180'd on her style from the first record to the second one. Because on their first one, she was very like goblin-y, like it was very like a high pitched kind of growl almost, and it was really cool. And then she could sing very very well as well, like alongside of that. And then the next record came out, which I think is Evolution. She completely 180'd and went for deeper and darker tonalities that were more in like her chest and everything, and it's good. It was so weird at first that I thought they changed vocalists until I heard like the tone, like the sound of what sounded like a female underneath all of the distortion. But yeah, so I'm excited for that record when that drops in February. But that is everything I have.
All right.
So I think we will move into our break next, because we had a very long tangent, but a good one. So after the break, we will come back and we will talk about billboards.
Looking to start a podcast? Buzzsprout makes it really easy. Get your show listed on every major podcast platform with little hassle. You will join over 100,000 other podcasters already using Buzzsprout. You'll get a really good website with audio widgets you can use on other websites, tools to help you promote your show, detailed analytics, and more. Follow the link to get started. It'll let Buzzsprout know that we sent you. If you sign up for a paid plan, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card, and you'll be directly supporting us here at Music Shag Pod. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to get a podcast out there.
All right, starting off with the Billboard's Hot 100. Sitting at number 1, we got Easy on Me by Adele. At number 2, we've got Stay by the Kid Laroi. At 3, we've got Industry Baby by Lil Nas X. At 4, we've got Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran. At 5, we've got Shivers by Ed Sheeran. At 6, we got One Right Now by Post Malone. At 7, we got Fancy Like by Walker Hayes. At 8, we got Smoking Out the Window by Silk Sonic. At 9, we got Need to Know by Doja Cat. And at 10, we got Heat Waves by Glass Animal.
All right, moving on to the Billboard Artist 100. Number 1 is a re-entry, Summer Walker. At number 2 is also a re-entry, ABBA. Down to number 3 from 1 is Ed Sheeran. Down to 4 from 3 is Adele. Down to 5 from 2 is Drake. Still at 6 is The Weeknd. Down to 7 is Doja Cat. Down to 8th is Olivia Rodrigo. Down to 9th is Luke Combs. And up to 10th is Travis Scott.
He's up to 10th?
Yeah.
Wow. That's weird.
Anyway.
Next is the Billboard 200. New entry at number 1 is Summer Walker with Still Over It. New entry at number 2 is ABBA with Voyage. Down to 3 is Drake with Certified Lover Boy. Ed Sheeran dropped to 4th with Equals. Morgan Wallen is still on here. He's down to 5. Doja Cat is at 6 with Planet Her. New entry is Key Glock at 7. We had with Yellow Tape 2. Olivia Rodrigo's down to 8 with Sour. Number 9 is Young Boy Never Broke Again with Sincerely Contrell. And Lil Nas X at 10 with Montero.
Where do we want to go?
Got any news?
Well, we kind of gave our news at the front.
Well, I mean, there's more news involving something we covered last week,
Okay.
involving Fetty Wap.
Oh, right. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So yeah, he's apparently in the middle of a multi-million-dollar drug bust. That I covered him being released on bail. Well,
Not
released on
anymore.
bond. So
Not anymore.
yeah. Yeah, apparently the FBI released photos of 1.5 million in cash, fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin seized in his case. This is according to Hip Hop DX.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Oops.
and Hip Hop DX is kind of going over his record. In November 2017, he was charged with a DUI. After he was reportedly caught drag racing in New York City. 2 years later, he was arrested in Vegas after allegedly assaulting 3 employees at a hotel. So normally when a judge looks at, someone who has a previous record, they tend to not be too kindly when someone's charged in a, $1.5 million drug type thing. The judge isn't too kind. So Fetty Wap could be looking at a life imprisonment from what I seen. So yeah, it's
Yeah, that's a big oops.
huge oops. You gotta cross your T's and dot your I's. Whether you're a multi-million-dollar rapper or you're an average Joe.
Like if you're gonna be that guy to get involved in that kind of thing, you gotta know how to cover yourself.
Yeah,
Not condoning it, but you gotta be smart.
I mean, even as an average citizen, like the drag racing and the DUI,
Mm-hmm.
that would hem somebody up.
Yeah.
The assaulting hotel employees, that would hem somebody up. Like leave the drug charges out of it. Like,
yeah, really.
He's
he's a black rapper, and they gotta throw in drugs.
yeah. But I don't even think when it comes to $1.5 million in narcotics, I don't think race applies unless
That's fair.
it's a governor's son. Then it does.
That's fair.
But if it's not a governor's son, not to get political, you're getting hit with charges, whether you're white or black. Are you getting hit with more charges if you're a different race? I don't want to get in politics. Probably. But, again, don't want to get political.
Sammy Hagar is supposed to perform during the Raiders halftime.
Way to get political.
Okay.
Van Hagar or Van Halen?
Sammy Hagar.
Where do you stand?
I don't have a stance.
Where do you stand?
I don't have a stance.
Bro, we're about to go at it right now. Okay? This shit's about to happen.
It's not.
Alright, it's not gonna happen. Bruce is fucking lost over there.
I don't know what's happening. What did I miss?
And apparently, something about Marilyn Manson. His lawyer is opened up to. He is open to global settlement talks in the cases of sexual assault against Manson. So that's still developing. I don't want to read into that on here, just because we already started off with a grim tone. I don't want to have another one at the end.
I mean, we could carry it on. Why not?
I'd rather not.
It's news, and it's an artist who I listened to growing up, so I'm kind of interested what else is going on here, to be honest with you.
Let me and skim through it. Back in 2011, there was a former partner of his that claimed he raped her back in 2011. So this whole court case has been a thing for a year now, roughly.
I remember hearing about this, but like I haven't.
Earlier this year, multiple women accused Manson of abuse. The singer denied the allegations, but he faced related lawsuits. Anyway, in the fallout, he was dropped by his record label and talent agent. That I didn't know. And a bunch of other women have been coming out of the woodwork, with claims of their own. And they're currently, as of 2 days ago, which is when this article's written, 4 of them have taken legal action against him. He first replied that the claims against him were, quote, horrible distortions of reality. My intimate relationships have always been entirely consensual with like-minded partners, regardless of how others are now choosing to misrepresent the past. That is the truth, end quote. But in the months following the initial accusation, more women have come forward with their own alleged accounts.
I mean, when it comes to people of a certain stature of celebrity, when somebody comes forward with sexual assault allegations towards that person, my initial thought is they really don't have to. Like, I'm sure they have enough people throwing themselves at them to where they don't have to, but there's been evidence proving that some of these people have sexually assaulted people, despite the fact that they really don't fucking have to.
Yeah.
Like, you think these celebrities have any hard time finding somebody who's willing to have sex with them?
There was something a couple months ago about All Time Low with the same kind of thing of like sexual assault accounts against one of their members, but I didn't read too much into that one.
Yeah.
And according to this article, earlier this week, Rolling Stone published their takeaways from an investigation into the Manson allegations that showed that accounts of the singer portrayed himself as a serial aggressor adept at manipulation, a racist fascinated with Nazi history, and a captor who imprisoned women in what he reportedly called his, quote, bad girl's room, end quote.
I mean, I know he played a Nazi on what is that stupid motorcycle show? Fuck, can't remember the name of it.
So
Sons of Anarchy. He actually played a neo-Nazi in that. But I never look at cinema and assume that that's who the person is. So.
Yeah, and they have a whole timeline of when these allegations started in this article. But yeah. This is quite the list of a timeline.
Yeah. I mean, again, like you hear about somebody of that stature, and you pretty much assume that they wouldn't have to, but you've seen so many cases where they have, and it'd be unfortunate to hear that he did, because like I said, growing up, I used to listen to his music,
right,
and really enjoyed his music. So part of me's gonna feel guilty if there is evidence that he has. So
it just makes you wonder, like, it's like, I know court cases take a while usually.
Oh yeah, they
especially
take a
with
long time,
especially with something like this. But it's also been a year,
yeah,
since all of this has come up, and I don't know that they've found solid evidence of this, of like these abusive relationships.
Yeah, I mean,
solid evidence anyway. So I'm kind of curious as how much of it is actually true and how much of it is fabricated just to bring him down even further. So,
I mean, I imagine there's something there if his talent agent dropped him.
and the label too.
Like, so, I mean, if
I see.
they didn't think anything was there,
I would agree with you.
they would have stood by him.
I would agree with you, but there is an instance of completely different, genre and industry. But in the gaming industry, there's a streamer that I watched that had had similar accusations against him.
Yeah, that was Twitch. And I doubt he was bringing in the kind of money that Merlin Manson brought his talent agent.
He was partnered, sponsored by a couple different companies that dropped him immediately as the accusations came out, and
Well,
none of it was true.
Sponsors do that.
But
Sponsors pull out really quick.
none of it was true. So in a similar vein, I don't know how. Like I said, I don't know how much of it would possibly be true, if at all. That's why I'm kind of curious.
Although I have seen an organization almost willingly go down with the ship on a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that follows hockey who has heard anything about the situation involving the Chicago Blackhawks, but a member of their organization had sexual assault accusations, and they pretty much stood by the guy until there was like hard evidence, and then they said, "Oh, well, yeah, goodbye."
Kind of like how Activision's standing by the CEO, and the board members are by him as well, except that
Who?
The CEO of Activision.
Never heard of a company. Anyway,
Yeah, it's similar to that, but except that the hard evidence is there and been proven, and the board and him are still defending themselves. So it's like,
which is why I cease to remember who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
And when I see their name attached to a game, I will go, "Oh, that company. Sorry to see that they made this. Guess I'm not buying it."
well, Sony and Microsoft are, well, at least Microsoft is. I think Sony is, but I don't know for sure. But Phil Spencer had came out and said publicly that he is, him and his team are reevaluating their relationship with the company
Oh,
because
so
of all
so they are now Dukes. So they are like Duke 1 and Duke 2.
They're also the same company that did this investigation is doing the same thing with Riot now.
I really.
Yes. So
So now we're talking about Duke LLCs.
if if any of that comes out to
Not
be
to
true,
make jokes about like something serious.
yeah, if any of that comes to be true, then I won't be playing Valorant anymore. So we'll see.
Yeah. Valorant was a good game.
As time progresses, we'll see that. But Bruce, any news?
Nope, found nothing.
Okay, normally I'm the one without news.
So we've been the tangent boys today.
That's okay.
Holy shit. All right. I guess we can move on to upcoming.
Yeah.
Actually, recently released.
Yeah, recently released.
Recently
That we're going to
released.
be-
That's right.
that we're gonna pick from.
I do have an album I plan on talking about next week.
If this list will stop adjusting as I scroll.
I unfortunately sat there and heard a couple songs off of it already and said, "Oh."
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's a couple on here that I might look at.
All right, let me go under a different list because this one is all over the place. I'm like looking and I'm like, that dropped last week, that dropped last week, that dropped this week, that dropped this week. And it says that it's
Oh, there's two on here that I'm gonna go through.
all right.
Now that I've actually read the bottom of the list, there's two on here I'm going through. I guess I can start because I have a long one.
Oh no shit. Carry on.
So everything on this list that I have has been released on November 19th. Starting with Afanimer.
A femur.
A femur. It's not a femur.
A fever dream. I don't know what you're looking at.
Fever
dream.
I think it's
That
a
was a good
Phanomer.
album.
It might be a Phanomer. They're coming out with. They had A Dream of Wilderness. Blackmore's Night came out with a re-release of Winter Carols. Christian Death came out with a re-release of The Wind Kissed Pictures. Converge came out with Blood Moon 1. The Darkness came out with Motorheart. And then Bruce, I need your help with this one. You're the translator.
What was the last one you just read?
Motorheart by The Darkness.
Oh, Der Weg einer Freiheit by Nacht. I'm going to take a guess and say that's Nocturne.
That's the album then.
Yes.
Okay, so there's that one. I can't pronounce that for my life.
We have Bruce here just to translate.
Yes. Eagles of Death Metal
Okay.
have come out with Eagles of Death Metal presents a Boots Electric Christmas EP.
Huh.
Okay.
Earth Crisis Snapcase Strife with the Return of California Takeover. Return of the California Takeover. Exodus with Persona Non Grata. Eye Flies with Exigent Circumstances EP. Hearts and Hand Grenades with Between the Lines. Chemist with Deceiver. Kiss has a super deluxe edition of Destroyer. Yes, it is called Super Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, it's the super deluxe.
It's super deluxe.
Stay tuned for the extremely super deluxe edition.
Yes. Lizzie Borden has 2 vinyl re-releases of Deal with the Devil and Master of Disguise. The Lurking Fear came out with Death, Madness, Horror, Decay. Me and That Man with New Man, New Songs, Same Shit, Volume 2.
Oh, I seen that.
Nervo Chaos with Dug Up. Obscura with A Valediction. I may go through that one. Pathology came out with The Everlasting Plague. Riverside has Riverside 20 Volume 1, The Shorts, and Volume 2, The Longs.
All right.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I mean, you got like the shorts, right? Like the small cigarettes. And then you got like they don't refer to long cigarettes as longs. All right, you know what? Never mind. I don't know what the fuck they mean by that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Ross Jennings came out with A Shadow of My Future Self. Swallow the Sun with Moonflowers. Temperance with Diamante. Theater de Vampires with In the Mind Sanguinis, which is French of some sort initially, I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I probably am.
So we have vampires from France.
That's where they originated,
Sick.
technically.
Are they strippers?
I don't think so.
Do they own the strip club?
All right, let's carry on.
Volumes came out with Happier ? Which I will be going through because it's volumes. Varsity with Welcome Home, who I discovered I think last year when they had just an EP, and I liked it, so I'm curious as to what this sounds like. And then Web, which is just WEB, like abbreviated,
Mm-hmm.
with Coliseum. And that is what I have that came out on November 19th, according to Loudwire.
Okay. So, let's see here.
Yeah?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Good.
French Montana dropped They Got Amnesia.
Do they?
Yeah. Snoop Dogg dropped Snoop Dogg Presents Algorithm.
Okay.
Apparently, Never Broke Again dropped a compilation. Looks like it's featuring all the Never Broke Again members. Let's see. There's an album I want to talk about, but it might wind up on Bruce's list. I gave it a bit of a listen through. Lil Migo dropped King of the Trap 2.
King of the Trap because no one else does it anymore because of the dead genre.
Oh.
I think he means like slinging drugs.
Possibly.
Mm.
I think.
What, with like a slingshot?
What was that?
What, with like a slingshot?
Yeah. Yeah, they just run around with slingshots.
Slinging drugs at houses.
Cool.
Yeah. And people, sling money rolls back at them.
I can picture that, and it's
got a whole-
quite the image.
They got a whole system set down for it.
Yeah.
They implemented it last year because of COVID.
Yeah, it's all automated. It's on a schedule.
And Isla Rashad dropped The House is Burning, Homies Begged. It's in parentheses, Homies Begged.
Okay.
The album's explicit.
Gee,
Mm.
wouldn't have guessed that one.
A hip-hop album explicit?
No,
Can't see that happening.
never.
All right, the few things I've got on my list, which actually doesn't look like much at this point. Got Raise the Roof by Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. Got 30 by Adele. Flying Dream 1 by Elbow.
Elbow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deciphering the Message by Micaiah McCraven. And The Willie Nelson Family by Willie Nelson.
Okay. So the album I checked out earlier today, that you guys might wind up with is Spiral by Rez. The first 3 songs I heard on the album were phenomenal. So definitely going back through it and seeing what else is on it. But yeah, something I'll definitely be talking about next week if I don't recommend it. So,
Nice.
anyone else got things that they're definitely talking about next week?
Definitely gonna be Volumes and Varsity because I'm gonna go through both.
Okay.
Whatever album it was that Ron had me read, we're talking about that.
I might check out Obscura because I've heard that they're, they have good material, but I don't think I've actually listened to them before. So I might have a couple. And if I get some surprise singles, then I'll throw them out there.
There we go.
But
I guess we'll go and see what we've been listening to for the past week. If we had anything interesting.
black metal. I don't know why. I've been in a black metal mood, so I've been listening to Signs of the Swarm. Didn't realize they put an album out last year. It's good.
My dude sat there and said black metal.
Don't know why. That's just where that's where my mood's been.
I've been listening to chiptune a bunch past week and a little bit of bluegrass.
Ah, yes, the dichotomy.
Yes, of course. And then random video game covers.
Yeah.
CL's Alpha and Silk Sonic. With like sprinkles of Money Man.
All right.
Mainly CL Alpha and Silk Sonic.
Money Man comes in when it's just like background.
let me, sadly.
Let me just throw something on.
All right.
Well, that will do. That'll be everything for episode 59 of the Music Shack podcast.
Yeah. If you want to try to keep up to date with us, follow us over on Twitter. We'll let you know when we drop new episodes.
And if you're new, we are on all major platforms besides Pandora.
Because I can't watch his mouth.
So feel free to check them out or check us out over on your preferred platform. But everything at its source is on YouTube at the Music Shack, under the Music Shack podcast. So yeah, feel free to hit subscribe if that's where you found us, or hit follow depending on what platform you found us on, and listen to the rest of our episodes if you're new and if you like this one. And we will see you next week for more noise.
Dirt. As always, player, one love, mosh and rave responsibly, and RIP Young Dolphin.
Yep. Enjoy the noise.